You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Teen Wolf After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Teen Wolf After Show.
Hello, AfterBuzzers. We're here during another AfterBuzz TV after show for MTV's Teen Wolf, Season 4, Episode 1, The Dark Moon. I'm your host this evening, Kristen Elizabeth Snyder, and joining me, AfterBuzz TV host June Lee.
Hello, I missed you guys.
And our guest host this evening, Lee Epstein.
Hey, nice to be here.
And our special guest this evening, assistant editor on Teen Wolf, please welcome Corey Trench.
Glad to be here. Glad to be back.
Yes, glad to be back. Wow, I'm so excited for this season. Corey, what can you tell us how this season's going to be different from past seasons?
Well, I think after this first episode, you know right away, it's an adventure. We're going on a journey here. We're going to places unknown.
Like Mexico.
Like Mexico.
I wore my Aztec shirt. I was like, this is very Aztec. I'm going to wear this.
I didn't get that memo. I wish I did.
And do you think this is this Aztec?
I think so. I think that we could go on an adventure like this. Like, we didn't plan this, but we could definitely team up and...
Totally on the same wavelength.
Yes.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, you guys are wearing white. We're wearing blue.
White party.
I totally planned this ahead of time.
It looks like it looks like everyone's excited about the show. We have a caller already on the line.
Caller, you're on the line with the Teen Wolf AfterBuzz TV After Show.
I know. I'm a little fast. I'm sorry, guys.
No problem.
Yay.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Josh. I'm from Florida.
Josh, what did you think of last night's episode?
I really liked it, I liked the adventure. I felt like I was, I traveled to Mexico for a little bit, got a little tequila, I was all good.
What did you think of the Malia and the Kira dance scene? I just have to say that was hot and whoa, I want more of that.
A little unexpected, right? A little unexpected.
Little unexpected for sure. What did you think, Josh?
At first I was like, okay, what is Kira doing here? But it fit with her character. I was like, what's she doing here? And then as she got into it, I was like, okay, I like what Malia brings out of Kira. We need to see a little bit more of that.
People were saying in the fandom that they thought it was weird that Malia just knew how to fit in and dance so naturally. But hey, that's nature. That's being part of the wild. Of course she knows how to dance.
She's an animal.
She's
on
an
the
animal.
dance floor.
Dance floor, totally.
Also, I would like to point out I noticed there was both that scene, which I agree was quite beautiful, and also there was a lot of everyone dancing together. There were guys dancing with guys dancing with girls, which I feel like we shouldn't even have to point out anymore. But I did think it was cool, that this Teen Wolf in 2014 is not the Teen Wolf of the 80s. It's just it's a lot. It really reflects.
That's a really good point.
Very pointly. Yeah.
Josh, what was your favorite part of the episode?
I think my favorite part would have just been, seeing everybody just how the new connections were going to, lay out, how the landscape was going to be with everybody, how was Spot and Kira going to act around each other? How was Lydia going to act around her friend Styles? Was, Allison not being there going to be such a huge, deal this first episode? But I really felt like they did it in a way where you weren't really focused on that, you weren't really worried about it. I guess Teen Wolf 2.0, everybody really gelled very well, and I felt like all the characters really felt like friends, and they really felt even more together than usual.
Right. I feel like experiencing a loss like this definitely brings people together, and it helps them turn into adults from that teenage state. So we got to see a lot of new characters, their relationships, and Jeff said that this is 2 months after the finale of 3B, after Allison's death, and Dark Moon means like the grieving period loss, and you can kind of see that still reflecting on all of them. Do you have a quick question for Corey before we let you go, Josh?
I guess one of the questions I would ask for Corey is just when it, comes to like the editing of the episode, do you edit certain scenes beforehand? Like I'm guessing it's not in order, but just how does that all work?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So as the scenes sort of come in, we do tend to, we like to try to edit things in order, but for the most part, like, hey, if there's a big scene that comes through and the director wants to see it, like, okay, how does everything cut together? Then we have to cut it, and we have to, see if there's any pickups that have to be done and whatnot. So yeah, oftentimes we do go out of order and then just sort of go from there. But yeah, preferably, once we get all the footage in, it's good to go from beginning to end, so you get the arc, get an idea of like, okay, where are things going, like how should I cut this scene as opposed to this previous scene, which is a little slower. This scene's a little more faster paced. So but yeah, it varies a lot, so you just got to be on your toes, especially on this show.
Josh,
and
thank
Corey,
you.
You do a very good job with like the guns and the electricity.
That's all Corey.
You do a really good job with all of that. So props to you, bro.
Well, thank you for that. But also, just real quick, I wanted to bring up that the editor, Ed Abrams, AC, he edited the majority of this episode, and he did a really great job with that. So yeah, props to him as well. He really knows how to work the action scenes and the drama and all that. So he did a really, really great job on this episode.
Josh, thank you so much for calling in. We hope to hear from you in future weeks of Teen Wolf.
If I could just follow up. Oh, there you go. Sorry, Josh. Just something that Corey was starting to say.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. That Corey was saying that, especially on this show, you were talking about some of the challenges or the interesting parts of cutting this show. So could you just maybe expand on that a little more?
Yeah. So editing this show as opposed to other shows, a lot of the editorial, like, they rely on us for all the sound design, some of the temp visual effects work. So really, when we do our rough cuts, it's like what you see on the show. It's like what we see on TV. So everything's very much like done in editorial, and Jeff leans very heavy on the editors to kind of like make his vision come to light, and he collaborates with them a lot. So we've been on the show for a while now. He really trusts us. We do a lot of the music editing and all that too. So when Dino gets like a temp track from us, he's like, okay, now I know what to do with this song here, because they want to go for this kind of feel. So really, it's just like the editors are sort of like creative producers in a way, but they're in a collaboration with Jeff and the directors, of course.
What exactly is a temp track?
Oh, a temp track is like, it's a temporary track that we put in. So like, let's say, for example, for this episode, we put in a lot of Avengers soundtrack for the beginning of the episode. Yeah, because we want it to be epic. But in order to do that, we just put that stuff in there so Dino had something to follow, like, oh, okay, they want to go for this kind of sweeping emotion and epic feel. So that kind of like is sort of a way for him to figure out, like, okay, this is what I need to write. And he comes up with his own stuff too, obviously.
Cool.
That's really interesting. I think Avengers is so fitting because everybody is kind of like a different superhero. Nobody's the same. Malia is a coyote, Wolf.
That's a great point.
Kira is a fox. Like, no one's the same. Everyone is different. And even Kate is not like a regular, what is she, like a jaguar or werewolf?
We don't know yet.
Everyone's so different and unique. And I just feel like, again, that's an underlying theme about Teen Wolf that I love. This 2014 Teen Wolf is so different from the 80s Teen Wolf in that way also.
It's all about teamwork and unique people coming together to solve problems.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, the tagline of this season is "Can't Go Back," and everything is as it is. Everyone has to move on. on, and I heard that they're not bringing back anybody who has died anymore, so whoever's dead is dead. And it's stripped down. They said it's going to be more comedic, more nostalgic. They're going back to high school.
Yeah.
It looks like Malia's going to be on the lacrosse team, with Jeff talked about with us last
so
season when he
awesome.
came on. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode. It seems that Derek is missing, so the pack goes to Mexico to look for him. And of course, we're introduced to this episode by our favorites, Lydia and Styles, and they always seem to be walking into a bad plan. And at this point, we had no idea what they were doing. But after we found out, they kind of like flashed the card and got in, and it turned out to be a club. I was like, oh no, if anyone in LA saw this, is gonna be like the next like club.
I agree. I thought that was so cool, though. I didn't know what to expect.
Little behind the scenes. That's actually the supper club that we filmed in.
I was going to ask, because the funniest part, I mean, I don't mean to be nitpicky, but it was great just for 2 seconds, right behind the bar, they had one of those Los Angeles County health code, the letter A, and I was like, wow, Mexico is like totally coming along with, that's amazing.
so
it's getting
funny.
everywhere, those
That's amazing.
letter A's.
I love that. I love that you were watching so carefully that you saw that. That's so cool.
It's definitely one of those shows where like you will see every little detail because you're so into it. You know, you're like, wow, you're like into this new world that they're in and stuff like that. But yeah, that's cool.
I just like that they had the card and that's how they got in.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be like, I mean, that would really solve all of our club line problems too.
Yeah, just
like
That's
you know, if
Flash
you
the
get
card.
invited to a club, like give us crazy looking cards, you know, and
No
let's just
ID
flash
too.
it.
They didn't
No
have
ID.
to take your
Oh,
ID
yeah,
out of the
true.
thing. No, none of that.
Yeah,
Just a card.
forget about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So they get in, and you know, eventually, Lydia and Styles are taken back to see the Mexican pack leader, and her name is Oraya. Is that correct, Corey?
Yes, that sounds right.
Okay.
I have to think about that for a
Lots
second.
of new characters, new ways to say their names. We want to make sure we get those right. And they offer up money for Derek. And she's like, where did you get this? The Japanese mafia. And I'm kind of wondering, too, where did they get this money? Was it from last season, the Japanese mafia? What did you guys think about that? Corey obviously knows, so can't say.
Well, I mean,
That's a lot of money. They're teenagers.
That is a lot of money.
Like, did they borrow it maybe from Styles' dad, you know,
did
from
they
the
steal it?
police barracks?
maybe they stole it.
Well, there's no parents to be seen anywhere in this episode.
That's so
I was
true.
missing the
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, you know, maybe they'll explain that a little more next episode, and Styles will get in trouble from his dad from stealing money from the police
Yeah,
department.
I
'cause,
think
you
that
know,
would be really
they
funny.
always have, like, you know, drugs and everything they've picked up from the crime scene at the police
Yes,
barracks.
That's
so
probably what it is.
it makes sense that he would have, you know, snuck in and stole it. So we get this
Styles.
really nice introduction of the new pack this season. Everybody's eyes glowing in the club, and Arden's dancing was hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
Cute.
Kira,
Oh my gosh.
she like did not know exactly how to dance, but that's why we love her, because she's so awkward. It was like
She's
very
so
robotic.
beautiful. It's like when you see somebody that gorgeous, like being a dork, it's just so lovable.
And she's so
You know?
focused on the goal at hand. She's not worried
Yeah.
about blending in.
Yeah,
oh, we're in a
that's
club. I
true.
completely forgot. You know, and then she busts out those nunchucks. Awesome.
Okay, also referred to as glow chucks in this episode. Like,
chucks.
they glowed. Were those not like glow stick nunchucks?
Yeah.
Sounds like the whole thing is very kind of club and, you know, EDM themed, like glow nunchucks. Doesn't that sound like another club thing?
They knew what they were doing with this episode.
Yeah.
I love when Teen Wolf goes club scene. I mean,
So
They
it
get it
never
right.
disappoints.
new LA club scene is gonna be tarot cards to get us in. Forget
Neon.
about the IDs and neon and nunchucks.
Yeah,
Like, that's gonna be the new thing. Everyone's gonna have their nunchucks and they're gonna be
That sounds
glowing.
fun. I'd go.
I'm there. So after that, you know, I really liked that Malia is coming from nature, and it seems like, you know, Styles is trying to help her integrate later on into the pact because she's not used to being around people. But, you know, I feel like we've come so far into like this manufactured society that I feel like there needs to be a middle ground. Perhaps she can teach them more about, you know, nature
very
and being in the
interesting.
wild, and her natural instincts will kick in. Whereas I feel like like society these days has sort of caused a hesitation from us to not use those natural instincts that we
That's
have.
a very profound statement, Kristen. That is so true.
Kristen's very wild.
She. Wow, but why?
But Corey,
why?
you know other things that we don't know, don't you?
Corey, for those of you who don't know, Corey and I went to college together at Ithaca College. The more you know.
The more you know. But it's a good point, though. I think Malia, I think in that dance scene, I think that's where I kind of saw, like, okay, bring out the animal instinct of, like, just letting go. Just, like, being
Absolutely.
free, not being so self-conscious in Kira. So, like...
We've kind of done too much plastic surgery on our landscape, you know? It's like all these metal structures that we're tearing down beautiful landscapes that actually produce poison and kill everything that is natural to us that we're feeding off of. It's just like, I really hope that we get more of that in this season. When I saw that in her and them trying to teach her how to be more like society and fit in, I was like, no, let her be. She's doing just fine.
Nice.
Let her run in the wild. Keep the woods. Tear down the buildings.
Well, like when she wants to kiss Styles, she just does it.
Yeah.
She doesn't have that like hesitation that society like puts on us. And later on, we get that moment from Brayden, the mercenary, asking Scott, you know, why didn't you kiss Kira? And he's like, I don't know. Like, we're not really. She's not really my girlfriend. And it's just like, I feel like society puts those sort of hesitations.
What is that about? Like, what's going on with Scott and Kira?
Teen Wolf, what are you teaching me? Should I just kiss people?
No, it's not bad when the girl makes the first move. I'm just going to put that out there.
Teen Wolf Wisdom 101. So what did you guys feel about this entire like club scene and the interaction between the mafia, the Mexican mafia, and the Pact, and the fact that the Pact sort of came in here alone, quote unquote, and then they all were sort of there to back each other up. But it seemed like they kind of had this confidence together, but then ended up biting them in the back because they didn't actually succeed. She didn't actually know where Derek was, or Raya didn't, and it seems like they, for some reason, just all walked into this bad plan together, but they had the confidence to do it.
Well, I mean, like, in a way, it wasn't a complete failure because she helped them find where he would be, which is with Kate. But I think what's the more interesting question is like where Uriah, I hope I'm saying that right, plays a role in Scott's kind of stepping up into like an alpha, and like what does she mean by like when you make that first bite,
I really
I'm
like
gonna cross
that.
the border, and she wanted to see what kind of alpha he was, and like what does all this mean, you know? Like
she was shocking. She was making Kira shock Scott into telling her something he didn't know.
but she knew that he didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But she wanted to see what would happen. She wanted to see what kind of alpha he was.
And what do you think that means? Like, what kind of alpha did he show himself to be? I guess is my question.
Well, I think she made a good point when she said, your next step is to bite an innocent in order to become your true alpha. But we've liked, up until this point, Scott has not killed anyone. He has always found another way to solve their problems. Whenever one of his friends' deaths, their life was on the line, he prevented that from happening. He never killed anyone. Even when having to fight a villain, he did it without killing them. So I don't know that that's something we're going to see, although she lays it out on the table that he has to. So because they introduced it to us, I feel like it might accidentally happen this season.
Well, I mean, like, she didn't say, like, he was going to kill them, you know? I mean, I feel like you don't have... Well, once you get the bite, you obviously die as a human and become a werewolf. But, like,
That's a good point.
It's different from, like, really... Corey's, like, looking at me like...
This is an interesting take.
Okay, so we're totally off?
He has this poker face.
Are we totally off?
I can't really say anything. This is like the hard part.
Trying to keep his job.
want to keep working on the show, man. I don't want to say anything.
Well, that's a great point, June. I feel like he can bite an innocent, and they can turn. It's just like I can't even imagine, and this is why Teen Wolf is so amazing. I can't imagine him taking an innocent and biting them. I mean, it would have to be someone who wanted the bite, and even then, I think he would have a really difficult time doing it.
Right.
So it seems like there's going to be a lot of girl power this season with Malia and Kira and Lydia dominating the pack.
I like to see the girls are solving problems here because Malia runs out chasing this monster that's out there, whatever it is, and leaving Styles behind to fix the Jeep. But also Kira, is backing her buddy up and coming out to save her.
Totally.
But also using the light to kind of find. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Right, the way she used her sword to reflect the light.
That kind of, ray of light, which it's kind of funny. Just post production, we did that in Avid. We made the little light kind of come out of the sword and stuff. It was kind of neat. You kind of fake that kind of stuff.
I was gonna ask you. I was like, was that you?
Yeah. It was a combination of because Ed put the effect on, and then I just had to modify it just slightly. But yeah, it came out pretty well. We saved on VFX budget on that one.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm sure you guys all got bonuses, right?
Oh yeah.
I think we're getting all the behind-the-scenes budget-saving tactics of the post team.
This is how you make an amazing show and save money. So let's talk about for a minute. Oriya actually took Lydia whenever she let the rest of the pack go, and because she's wondering, what exactly can Lydia do? How close does someone have to be to death in order for her to figure out who's going to die? And we actually see just how crazy of a mafia boss Oriya is, as she will kill her own because this guy, I guess, stole from her. But I was sort of feeling that Oriya might help Lydia, learn her banshee powers.
You said that because I totally had the same vibe. I almost felt like, okay, is she potentially a banshee and she's just pretending like she doesn't know anything about banshees? And I really feel like the big hole for me was, okay, what's gonna happen with Lydia? She lost her best friend. She doesn't have Styles anymore. She's really kind of alone, and she has no idea how to control these powers. Who's gonna go and teach her? And maybe that's why I think Oriya may not be a bad person, quote unquote bad person. I think she might wind up becoming more helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed, kind of odd that she would take her aside just to see what a banshee could do. I feel like she might have more knowledge than she's giving off at the moment. Who knows? But of course, she just wants to use her if she can use those powers, because she did say to Scott, once you bite the innocent, I'm going to cross the border and come knocking at your door. So obviously, she wants to see what these people can do for her, how she can use them for her own selfish needs, which maybe not. Maybe she's a good person. We'll see. Maybe she's not a villain. But so then we get to see a little bit of Styles and Malia interact, and Malia saying, if Lydia was hurt, she would leave her behind, and if it was a bad hunting season, she would just eat her. And Styles is like, this is progress for her. This is progress. I loved when he kept saying that.
Styles teaching Malia how to be human, that sort of thing, which you don't like.
It's so
wild.
It's so touching, and I think it's so funny that Styles is the one to do it because he's such a human character.
Yeah, no, I like the relationships between Scott and Kira because they're both humans that have become werewolves, and then with Malia, she's been a coyote and now she's a human, and Styles is team human all the way. So it's really interesting to see the dynamics between the two, to see Malia have the powers, and then Styles be the human, okay, I'm the one who's really the human here because I don't have any powers and I'm gonna help you. And now that's brought them closer. And then with Scott and Kira, it's sort of they're sort of teaching each other. I mean, Kira's sort of different than Scott in a way. She's got different powers than he does, slightly. So it's sort of interesting to see one has power over the electricity, and Scott's more like brute force sort of deal.
Right.
So it's like, it's almost as if like we were saying before, like everyone has a unique ability. You know, Styles is all about deduction, much like Lydia, and then Scott's all about brute force and sticking up for his friends. You know, always being there, being the hero. And then Kira is like the trickster. You know, the one that can find another way out using just like a little trick. So
yeah, no, that's a really great way to look at it. I have to ask before we go any further: Stydia or Stelia?
I know.
Is that a Supreme Court justice?
So those in the fandom, we ship people. So Stylia is Styles and Lydia, who we've been rooting for a while to get together.
Wait,
Stylia,
and the other one, I got it. Styles and Malia.
Oh, he's learning so fast. I also want to say,
this is pretty rocket science and stuff.
hey, you learned it here.
That's true.
On AfterBuzz TV. But guys, seriously, Stylia or Stydia?
When I first started working on the show, and this is just my own personal opinion, I did want Styles and Lydia to get together. Mm-hmm. So that scene they had in 3A where they actually kissed, it was like, whoa.
Where it would happen to be like a trick.
That was the episode where Styles was having a panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lydia kissed him to calm him down. So it's so it's funny how like this Malia freaking out and Styles getting, this guy's getting kissed a lot, man.
Parallels.
No, it's really funny. It's like, yeah, you're right. He's kind of like the opposite. Maybe it's like Stylia, Lydia, Malia.
Are you combining?
Yes.
Are you making a love triangle right now?
No, not a love triangle, but like,
it sounds more like a love rhombus to me.
Exactly.
If I recall my ninth grade geometry.
That sounds very fun.
Maybe it's like I think that's what they call it these days. It's called a truple. That's what they call it.
That sounds good too.
A polyamorous unit of like three people.
Of three people who are in a relationship.
Well, this show is way more progressive than
I feel like
I don't think we're going there.
I think Lydia would be game, and like Malia would be game. After I see that scene with Kira, I totally think Malia would be game.
And I'm game too. But moving on. So then we have the Brayden character, the mercenary, come in, and she is going to be their guide to where Kate is, keeping Derek apparently. So everyone climbs in the Jeep, and this is when we have to talk about Allison, because, Kira knows about her, but Malia doesn't and wants to know more, and Kira doesn't know everything. So they start to talk about who Kate is and the fact that she was clawed by Peter, but they're like, can you turn by, being clawed and not a bite? And they said, if the claws go deep enough. Mm-hmm. And so the story is that she actually, is responsible for burning down the Hale house. Kate Argent is. And the only ones who got out were like Cora and Peter. Mm-hmm. Kate was a hunter, and so the Mexican mafia, they actually took Kate, and when they noticed she was turning, when she was healing, they went to like the morgue and they saw that she was actually turning, and so they kidnapped her. And as a hunter, the codes are that you must kill yourself if you're bitten, like we saw Edie Mays, who played Allison's mother, Victoria Argent on the show. She killed herself because she's of the Hunters family, and that's just code. And the Calaveras Mexican mafia family, they enforce these strict codes. And when Kate decided not to do it, she was a little bit of a trickster spirit here, pretended like she had done it, and when they came in to get her, she had killed them all and escaped.
And Malia's like, rightfully so would I.
I love Malia. Malia, I think, is becoming my favorite character.
She's just like that honest voice,
Not unlike her father, Peter. So do you guys think she's going to kind of become that, narcissistic, powerful, one out for, her own, like her father, Peter. Or do you guys think she'll find, like, loyalties in the pack?
I think she'll find loyalties in the pack.
Definitely with Styles, anyway.
Yeah.
We get her in the Jeep saying, I'll leave them behind, but I won't leave you.
Never
Which
never
was
you.
really actually romantic.
So sweet.
And it was so sweet. It's something like people don't just blurt out, which is too bad if you ask me. I'm all about those natural instincts.
Hashtag natural instincts.
No inhibitions, no boundaries. On AfterBuzz TV.
Exactly.
But there is something to that, by the way. I mean, we're making fun, but like you were kind of talking about how our society and like the building up and getting away from nature, and like so much of like the advice I've been given and stuff that seems to be helpful is being able to trust your gut and go with your instinct and be a little less inhibited. And like one of the things that I've gotten to experience is like summer camp, and like what's so cool about summer camp is like or maybe in your like circus experience we've talked about a little bit, but like getting out of the cities and getting away from buildings, like so many kids don't get to play and be out, and so maybe we don't develop our like romantic instincts in the same way that we would have in our years ago
when we were in the Aztec culture and more like natural tribes before there was all like the manufactured society that there is today. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree that that's the loss of culture, the loss of natural instincts so much, and I hope that Malia can kind of bring them to a middle ground and teach them and kind of bring those wild instincts in to help solve problems.
Well, if I may add on to that, I feel like it's not so much that we're not in the right kind of environment, but I kind of feel like, well, I guess this is the wrong kind of environment. Like, we're going so fast. Like, if we break up, like, get over it, move on, find the next one. You know what I mean? And whereas before it was like we really had like one, maybe two, great loves, and like everything was so much slower, and we didn't feel this pressure to like get over it.
You like work it out, you'd work through it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like people feel it. People feel these same emotions, but they kind of just get thrown under the rug.
They turn them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like can't go back.
Can't go back tagline.
It all comes back to that. No, this is all interesting because like I feel like them going to Mexico, I think they do. A lot does get revealed in their character. Like, just for example, like, Malia and Kira dancing in the club. I'm sure, like, Kira's probably never been in that situation before in a club, and maybe this was a way for her to open up. And then
with a girl.
And then Scott realizing that, had he not had that interaction where he had to leave Kira so abruptly and then not go in for the kiss, and then Brayden asking that question, well, why didn't you kiss her? Again, now he's being brought to, why didn't I kiss her? Like, why didn't I go for it? Why didn't I trust my instincts? I was thinking so much in my head. So I feel like in this episode, them going to a different location reveals a lot of their character. Maybe they're learning a lot just about themselves and their relationships between each other.
Yeah, definitely. True. I think it's important to escape your environment and learn about yourself.
Yeah.
And these are one of the things that I can say as kind of a newcomer to Teen Wolf is that I like how it's like so, in certain ways it's so unrealistic. Let's say, it's like you have to suspend disbelief, but yet in other ways it's so human, and it's so like speaks to us, and like there's things to learn, and there's like all the things you're talking about. It really does comment and teach in the where you would kind of least expect it. So that's something I've noticed.
It creates a social dialogue. It's a teen show about werewolves, but it really it is a platform for social dialogue. We talk about that all the time here.
Yeah, and I guess from my perspective, I am newer, but it kind of allows that because we're not totally looking in the mirror. In the mirror, we have like a little distance by like they're not totally exactly like us,
Absolutely, that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah,
I completely agree. So we heard that Kate killed a half a dozen people to get out. They were talking about how when you get the bite, you kind of turn into a reflection of who you were, and you don't always become a werewolf. So we don't know right now what she is, but her eyes do shine green. So what do we think? What kind of monster is she?
And why is she blue?
Was she blue at one point?
Like in a teaser or something like that. Like they show her as being blue with these fangs. And
did you forget to correct that color, Corey?
That was amazing.
Maybe it's a cat. Weren't you saying that we don't have cats in this?
Yeah, I tweeted out werecats, and I was just, when I was taking notes, I was like, werecats all over my notes.
I think that might be right. I think that might be right. I think I'm gonna say werecat,
which is actually probably translated into the were-jaguars that they were talking about once they got to the Aztec tomb. Which, moving forward, so the Jeep did hit something, and Scott decides to take off with Brayden and leave the pack to fix the Jeep, and it turns out there was a huge claw stuck in the tires.
Oh, is that what it was?
It was like some kind of huge fossil bone that looked like a big claw from an animal that I don't want to come across.
I thought it was a dagger. I thought it was a dagger. It kind of reminded me of like the movie Mummies? They have like those people who ride around horses, and I thought it was like one of those kind of people.
It could be.
Perhaps we should take a trip to the La Brea Tar Pits and do some research.
We should. We definitely will do that after this. So then, Malia does go off, like Corey was mentioning, after this fast creature who actually gets a little claw jab at her, and hurts her. And then they eventually fix the Jeep, and Styles had that great line where he was like, "I won't leave this Jeep. That's one thing I won't abandon," which was awesome. And I didn't know he was so a little mechanic. He has so many traits we don't know, but he somehow fixed his Jeep when it was a claw on the tire. I don't know. I didn't see changing of tires. I saw him like whipping stuff out of the
I think it was like under somewhere in the engine part or something. Was it a tire?
Well, what's funny is he was kind of messing around with the engine, but then Malia's like, you can stop doing that. It's this claw.
Well, it's not like, where you're stuck where they were stuck. It's not like, let's just call AAA. I don't think that's really like an option.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, he did have to fix it, but I didn't see the changing of tire. It was like he was kind of messing around under the hood, like, what happened? But Malia's natural instincts.
Hashtag natural instincts.
Solved the issue, and she pulled out the claw. So then Brayden takes us to La Iglesia. La Iglesia, and I'm like, where did you guys shoot this? I'm like, did you really have the budget to go to Mexico? And then I watched that sort of clip with Rusty Smith on MTV.com.
My man Rusty, he's great.
I love him.
Production designer.
He's been on here. Yep. He's supposed to come back. He said there's a place called Blue Cloud Ranch, and Iron Man actually filmed there and built these ruins that they created. And so you guys, can you talk about that a little bit, Corey?
Yeah, so what's interesting is it's sort of a combo of what that was and CGI, because when they're overlooking that town, that was green screen. There was no actual, the church wasn't there, nothing was there. That was all CGI. So that's
amazing.
Cred goes to our VFX house, Muse VFX. They did all that. They did all that. But Rusty obviously made the production design, what the church was supposed to look like. All the interior, like when they're in that interior, when they actually go inside and they, it's like huge hallway and stuff like that, that's all them. VFX, Muse did all that.
Wow, that's awesome. So apparently an earthquake leveled the town, and the church was still standing, they think, because it was built on an Aztec temple ruins, and it was the Noir shapeshifters that were called the were-jaguars.
The Nual, I think.
The Nual.
Yeah.
And so that we got a little bit of history about what this is and why this church is still standing, and then they go ahead in Brayden and Scott, and what was funny was she was like, when they were starting to hear someone, she was like, "Get behind me," and he's like, "No, get behind me." yeah. Well, I mean, it was about time. I was like, "Don't you get behind her, Scott." But we also found out where her loyalties lie, because she was like, "I would kill you if I was paid enough."
And Scott's like, "Huh?" I don't think he liked hearing that.
He's like, "But we're friends."
I know. Oh my god.
We went to this place together.
I think Tyler Posey just as an actor. I just feel like as a human being, he's just a sweet, nice.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's really nice.
Yeah. I was watching Wolf Watch with my friend afterwards, and like he was like dancing, like really quirkily, like it was just so cute.
Yeah, he is supposed to join us this season, so we'll see. Would love him to have him on here.
That would be awesome.
So then we get there to we start seeing, it's dark, so we don't know. We have lots of sounds, and it seems like we're in an adventure sort of Indiana Jones type thing, and then, you know, Scott does that alpha roar, and it was like, okay, if this is actually like an Aztec temple, like, you might be awakening some sort of curse, because everything kind of shakes, and he definitely scared off the were-jaguars or whatever.
It looked really skeletal to me, didn't it?
Yes, it did. So maybe those are the protectors of this church. We don't know yet. But, you know, when he does do that roar, he kind of, you know, shakes away part of the temple, and we've got this tomb that's revealed. And it was apparently the were-jaguar, the god of the were-jaguars. It was his tomb. And then, you know, Scott kind of breaks in, and finally we find Derek.
And you see bitty Derek.
I was like, wait, what? Because we did see him as his actual self for like a second in this episode, and then baby Derek appears, and I'm just like, wait a minute. Like, is there a way, since, you know, we've got him back to where he's younger, are we time traveling? Is there a way that Kate's going to use him to sort of manipulate what he has done or hasn't done, or is this like a curse from being in this, you know, were-jaguar's tomb, which I'm sure there's, you know, ancient mythology there and curses and whatnot. Does this change anything, is what I'm asking you.
Well, in the sneak preview, so the next episode, they were talking about how, you know, she's doing that so that he forgets about her kind of like killing his family and then manipulating him. Because like now he's not aware of, that's like before he turned. So, but I don't know what her end goal is. I don't know what her end game would be.
Right. I know she did say something about wanting Derek to trust her, because, you know, obviously he doesn't as an adult, because he knows that she's responsible for burning down his family's house. But at this point, as, you know, a younger Derek, he doesn't have those memories of being an adult yet, where he knows not to trust her. So is she perhaps building her own pack here?
That's what I was thinking, maybe.
Right, and even if Stiles and Scott find a way to break this curse and get him to, you know, grow up again, we'll say, there's obviously going to be effects. So is he not going to have those memories at all? And when it comes to making decisions, the only way we can make decisions as adults is having those past experiences that we've learned from, the lessons, the trials and errors that we've experienced our entire life. So Derek's not going to have that, not going to know that he shouldn't trust Kate. So he's basically going to still be that teenage boy making decisions as an adult, even if they break this
He's
curse.
Derek pre-stubble. So there's a lot that's he's not going to know, like, what?
He's going to need Stiles to teach him the ways of being a man. I would love to
Corey
see that.
was actually clean-shaven when he came here.
Yes, that's what Teen Wolf does to you. You literally become a wolf as you work. You start to grow
Are you sure that's not what
chops.
being an editor does to you?
Well, that too.
That
Yeah,
too.
that'll do it.
Mariana O on the chat says that they took her age-appropriate crush and made him not age-appropriate. So she's really upset that she's now crushing on this, like, young Derek.
That is so funny.
So it seems like, you know, each episode of Teen Wolf, they sort of have this mission that they solve as a pack, and then they're introduced a new problem. And the new problem now is Derek's much younger, and how are they going to break this curse or figure out, you know, what's going on. Kate's obviously going to be an issue going forward. And I mean, do you guys think that they've awakened some sort of Aztec curse? Because you know how, like, Temple of Doom and all those kind of places work. Like, if you go into those sort of temples that are from years ago, you know, and the fact that it wasn't affected by the earthquake, like, there could be some sort of curse there that they've awakened. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely a possibility, but like an extra curse on top of Derek being a little?
Yes, I do think so, because we do get that other sneak peek of like these other monsters, and Jeff said, you know, on the other shows on MTV.com that the Berserkers.
Yes.
There's another villain called the Berserkers. And he said that they're
Berserkers.
Berserkers, yeah.
And that they're actually controlled by you. So what I'm thinking, what I kind of put together is, you know, since they maybe broke this curse, it released the Berserkers from the Aztec temple. And this is all just, you know, prediction sort of, and how I'm making sense of what we saw in the show. But, you know, it's controlled by you. So that's sort of how curses normally work from my experience.
I will say, as someone who's not normally one to like believe in curses, let's say in my regular life, like having visited places like Petra in Jordan, or places in Israel or Egypt, I visited like where, you know, at Petra they actually shot some of the Indiana Jones stuff. And like when you go to a place like that, you do feel, I mean, I at least, you feel a little bit more in touch with like the ghosts of the past. Like in this studio, like I could kind of maybe imagine that. But like when you're in a place that's that old and that like, there's something spooky about, like there is something that even like people who are not into curses and not into ghosts, you can just feel it more in a place that's that like amazing and, you know, and old, and there's like history and there's I don't
culture.
know, I felt that like in those places that I mentioned. So sounds like it makes sense to me.
There's so many things that this group can be haunted by, like so many different things, you know, like I just feel like they have so much like kind of like on the back burner, like maybe Allison comes back and like tortures them.
I don't know. They said they're not bringing back anybody else.
But no, like not like as a resurrection, but maybe like as a dream or something.
As
you
a
know?
curse or
As a
something?
curse or something like that. I don't know.
Could be. Well, before we get into our interview with Corey, we want to mention Maria Menounos' book, The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness.
I read this.
It's really good. You know, Maria was at one point 40 pounds overweight before she was a host. And you
I did not know that.
Being on TV, you have to figure out a way to balance your diet and exercise. And all the tips that she learned that help her be successful in the industry is in this book, you know, and even if you don't want to be on TV or in the industry, it's great tips, great recipes that would help anybody who, I mean, everybody struggles with it, right? I don't care who you are. I don't care how fast your metabolism is. We all struggle with it. It's a daily conscious decision. Every decision you make, putting what foods in your body, it all goes into what you look like. So pick up this book. I love her other book, The Everyday Girl's Guide to Life. That helped me a lot, and I started reading this, and I'm just like fascinated, and I think I am also going to be a little bit more trim after reading her wise tips. So pick it up. It's on Amazon right now, guys.
Corey and I, Corey, we should have a like a workout group, you and I.
Yeah.
We're gonna start doing this.
And start
And every
with the
girl and every girl's, yeah, definitely.
You can invite every girl to the workout.
All I want to know is if I get my belly button pierced with that thing and eat an apple and carry a purse, can I get those abs? Because that would be amazing.
I think that's all the tips.
That's all that's in this book.
You
right?
gotta read
I mean,
the book.
she could be on Teen Wolf. I mean, they've got great abs. I mean, look at
That's
those.
true.
Speaking of abs,
That's
I'm
very
sorry. Can I
true.
like? There's just
Real quick.
People are like dying to see Styles shirtless, and he went on record saying that he's never gonna take his shirt off for a Teen Wolf.
I'm also going on record. I'm going on record right now. I'm also not taking my shirt off for the Teen Wolf AfterBuzz show.
It's very brave.
No, but like seriously, what is up with that? Try to change that.
Okay, well,
All right,
we've got to get into our interview with Corey. We've only got about 5 minutes left. So Corey, I want to know what specifically from your childhood contributed to you choosing as an adult to be an editor, do you think?
Well, you know, it was a combination of many, many things, but I think the main thing was when I was a kid, you know, I loved telling stories. Like I would just tell stories to my parents and they would listen and like, you know, just be complete nonsense, but I just loved talk about these little stories that were in my head. So what really got me more interested in images is I made little comic books, and I would like draw on my own. Like I didn't know how to do it, but I would just like, I'd draw corners, and I would just like, draw characters, and they would do this, in the sequential order, and I would sell them to my parents for like $1.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It was like
entrepreneurial of you.
It was just kind of a funny thing. I was just like, oh, I can sell my work and make money off of it.
Wow.
That's a very important
part of it.
Yeah, you learned earlier than most artists that you can actually like make a living doing your art.
But what transitioned that to like the moving image and to editorial was I went to high school where we had a broadcast journalism class, and we had iMovie there, and everyone would edit their little things on iMovie, and those would play in the morning announcements. We had like TV set up in every room, and our morning
high school.
Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah.
Fayetteville Manly's high school, and so yeah, I was like really into the editing part. That was like my favorite part. I didn't care about the shooting. I just wanted to start editing right away. And then we had Final Cut there that nobody touched. Everyone's like, this is way too advanced. When you come out here, everyone knows Final Cut, but at my high school, it was like, no, this is too advanced. And I made it my mission to learn it, and I learned it on my own. I took the manual out, learned the entire thing.
Wow.
Huge,
Self-starter.
yeah, I was just a huge nerd when it came to that kind of stuff. So, but then I started making my own films out of that, and then I found my way out here in Los Angeles. So
That's awesome. That's a great story.
That's so inspirational.
I want to ask, what's one of your best memories from the editor's dungeon on Teen Wolf? I know you guys have to work in the dark.
Well, my favorite, actually, one of my favorites was when I got my first act to cut, which was actually this show. I got to cut Act 3.
It's a celebration for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really cool. Ed, gave me the opportunity to do it, and it was really great just to like do the notes from the director and the producers. Like, this is the real deal, and like you're really getting good feedback, and you're like moving it along, and that was like a really great joy to go from rough to fine to lock. Like the whole process. And just hearing like all the little details, and like when everything's said and done, it's like, wow, like that's something I worked on. It's kind of cool to see it on TV.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I want to ask, I know so much of your life is werewolves and weird cats and jaguars and all that, but what other projects are you working on aside from Teen Wolf?
So I just put out a short documentary called A Fortunate Son. It's a film my father and I made together, and it's about my dad. My dad had lost his father when he was 15 years old to a lightning strike.
Oh my God.
In a barn. Wow. And this was the day we landed on the moon, July 20th, 1969. Wow. So all these like crazy things.
Oh my God.
And we never really talked about it so much when I was a kid. I had a step-grandfather that I thought was my actual grandfather. But anyway, the whole film is about us kind of bonding and, helping my dad find closure from that situation, because we went back and, just helping him, just sort of find that last chapter of that story. And then making a film together, which was something he always wanted to do with me. Aww. So anyway, that's up online right now, and I'm putting it out to film festivals.
So cool.
Where can we find it?
Yeah, we can find it on my website, cinetree.com. That's cinefilms.com, and it's right there on the front page.
And you're wearing the shirt, right?
I'm wearing the shirt.
There we go.
It's
Get
all
a
there.
shot of that.
Yeah. So
We'll tweet it out. Yeah.
Yes, definitely tweet us the links. We can tweet it out, and everybody can go
Absolutely.
there and check it out. Corey, thank you so much for joining us
having
and
me.
all the tidbits of information you gave
Absolutely.
us about the episode that we wouldn't have known without you joining us. Let's go ahead and roll into predictions.
Okay.
So real
Now,
quick,
your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
so for the rest of the season, what do you think, June? I know we get Lydia's backstory, she said, and there's going to be a lake house, lots of new sets this season to look forward to, and Derek's going to face a lot of challenges, was what we've been told. Do you have any other predictions for the season?
Well, like realistic predictions or things that I would like to see. Like I said, I think it'd be awesome to have
This guy take his shirt off. She predicts that he will take his shirt off, despite that he said he won't do it.
But let's hope. No, Styles, Lydia, and Malia. Maybe there's something there. And I think Kate is going to be a werecat. And
So were Jaguar.
and like like somehow manipulate Derek to fall in love with her.
That could very well happen. I think that's a good one.
I feel like she's always had a crush on him.
Right, and we did see Scott and Kira kiss in the little preview, so it looks like they get together. I'm pretty sure Malia and Styles are a couple this season, and I cannot wait for that couple.
Is that Smalia?
It's Smalia.
Smalia.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. Yeah, right. Day by day. Day by day.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. You can find me at Cinematic Escape on Twitter, or check out my blog, cinematicescape.com. Where can we find you, Lee?
You can find me on Twitter at Lee M. Epstein on Twitter. Lee M. Epstein on Twitter.
All right, where
and
can
Instagram.
Where can we find you, June?
Miss June Lee with an underscore.
And Corey, where can we follow you?
You can find me on Twitter at Corey Trench, COREYTRENCH.
Awesome. Thank you again, Corey, for joining us. And guys, come back next week. We'll have another special guest. Looking forward to it. Thanks.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.